Greetings ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's Reddit series video from the subreddit HFY, called Contact Procedures, Volume 3, Chapter 1, Arrivals. Written by MeatFcker. The link to the original will be down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Mount Mons, Mars. 32 days after first contact. Tweety flopped down onto Jenkins's couch and let out a trilling sigh. He was exhausted. His last month spent in a hastily formed Zexatol, Xenological Aptitude Testing Lab, yet another human acronym, had left Neji mentally and physically drained. The humans had measured everything from how far he could run to how quickly he could plot any vector into a grate. He hadn't enjoyed the last test. "You fine with pizza again, Tweety?" called Jenkins from the apartment's tiny alcove. "I forgot to place the perishables order." Tweety glanced around the cramped living room. He counted 5 discarded takeout containers in the top layer of clutter alone. The Neji could vaguely remember Jenkins cooking something from scratch. On the first night after he'd taken up the human's offer of a room close to Mount Mons naval base, but that had been a month ago. "It beats tacos," replied Tweety. "And your building's auto chef does cook a good pizza. Just make sure that there's no meat on mine." As always, Jenkins wandered into the living room, cleared the debris off his chair, and settled down. He was carrying a small tablet. "You see in tonight's op-ed pieces, I swear, the marshals used to be a lot more subtle about this kind of propaganda." "I still can't pick those articles out," said Tweety. "Just looks like journalism to me." "It's all in the context. Some of the writers spouting the anti-Xeno nonsense are flunkies of the chairman. The rest are just digging their heels in too hard for the public opinion to be natural." "What's the sudden interest in politics? I thought you said it was safer to stay out of them." "It is, but it also doesn't hurt to know what's going on. For example, the referendum passed." "Really?" Tweety sat up straight. "I'm a citizen then. Wasn't your chairman's office, or whatever it's called, in direct opposition?" "Office of the chairman, and yeah, they were so opposed," said Jenkins. "Didn't end up mattering, though. 97% in favor of granting the Neji a permanent home in the Sol system. 83% in favor of a permanent alliance with the remnant flock, to be known as the Terran Alliance. The 81% in favor of merging our respective army forces into the Terran fleet, split between naval personnel and marines." Jenkins held up 2 thick envelopes. "An officer was here within the hour. These are for you." Tweety took the emblems reverently. Both of them bore an unfamiliar seal, but the words Terran Fleet stamped beneath the insignia left no doubt as to what they were originating. "That'd be your unification cross citation," said Jenkins as Tweety broke the first seal. "It's about damn time you earned it with the rest of us." Tweety set the paper aside and turned the second envelope. "It was easily twice as thick as the first, and that's your commission," said Jenkins. The humans poured out an identical, albeit far more creased, envelope from his pocket. "Mine came along with yours. Congratulations on becoming the first non-human officer in the history of Sol." Tweety's muscles ached as he skimmed through the document. If he took the offer, the first course would start in less than a week, and the Neji wasn't even sure that he could walk right now. He'd never been this sore in his life. "I'm in," said Tweety, "although I do have one question." He wiggled his thick, blunt claws that tipped his 4 lower limbs. "What exactly do they intend to do with me with 6 pairs of plain white cotton sweat socks?" Dallas, Earth, 5 months after first contact. "Well, here you are," said the officer to Cadet Slater. "A new home." Aldersterfield watched Slater scratch the back of his neck, almost dislodging a smaller of the 2 fosterlings hanging off his shoulder. The small, in-ear translator informed the Askrand that this was yet another nervous gesture. The human self-assurance seemed to have deserted him on the flight over to the refugee camp. The Askrand elder sniffed at the air and tasted clean. He stepped off the shuttle's walkway and dug his foot claws into the grass and dirt. It was fertile. He pressed one of his large ears against the ground and snapped a hand down. The echo sounded firm. "We could not have asked for a better land," said the Aldersterfields. "Once again, the Askrand people are in your debt." "Oh, it's far from perfect." The ghost of a smile touched Slater's face. "I'd be shocked if you had snakes in your homeworld, or earthquakes." We shall endure those, I believe. It has never been our nature to let the world shape us unduly. Eldest of friend's snout curled in a grimace, until recently, that is. One of the yet unnamed fosterlings killed the silence before it could begin by losing its grip on Slater's uniform. The tiny Askren's bluntly clawed hands flailed wildly as it closed around the human's ear. Biting back the cursed, Slater picked up the tiny bundle of fur and set it on the ground. The fosterling promptly latched onto his leg and started to shimmy up. Slater sighed. They don't quit, do they? Eldest of Field's trunk curled up into a smile. Give them another 6 of your months and they'll stand on their own. Just look at Kyla. The Askren gestured further back into the ship, where Kyla was busy tormenting the Neji pilot with questions. She only found her voice a week ago and she's already putting it to good use. Another year and she'll have moved out of my care entirely. You Askrens really grow up fast, don't you? After a fashion. How many of your years have you seen? 53. I have lived through 83 harvests, 28 of your years, and I am the eldest. Soon I'll pass into the endless winter. I've told you this before, but we have no shortage of scientists and doctors. It will be no trouble to... No, we are not a people suited to change, but change has been forced upon us. Eldest of Fields glanced back towards Kyla. It would be disastrous if you extended the lives of our elders. What future do our children have if the old leaders remain? You seem like you have no trouble adapting. Eldest of Fields snorted. I am the exception, the deviant. That is why they chose me to represent the Askrenian on your council. No, the elders want only to pretend that our species was not almost wiped out. They want to dig their tunnels and forget. And you? I want a future for my race, and may the chill of winter take me. I want revenge. Eldest of Fields looked back at Kyla. I fear that I can teach our children no more. What use are tunnels and fields against the forces arrayed against us? The silence was stretching for a long, unbroken moment. A sharp breeze ran through the grass that stretched across the plain. Standing there, Eldest of Fields was suddenly aware of how insignificant it seemed next to the towering friend. His snout barely cleared Slater's waist. Can you make one promise to me, human? Asked the Askren. Of course. When you take our children from us, be kind to them. No one else will be. Vancouver, Earth, 17 months after first contact. What do you mean you're not going to train us? Demanded Webb. It came out of a hint of a growl. After more than a month of interviews and debriefings, his temper was wearing thin. I thought that part of the agreement was that we'd be involved in the liberation of the Nectar. We are not going to train you yet, said the Terran Marshal, a human, of course. You're still unproven assets, security threats. If you were to leak information back to your previous employers, our previous employers, as you so delicately put it, are half a galaxy away. Lael's voice carried all the frustration that the Web could barely manage to hide. And if he went back to them, we wouldn't be interrogated, we'd be shot. That's what happens to anyone who toes the line in the compact. Perhaps, said the Marshal, but this decision has been made far above my level. Now, if you excuse me, I have important matters to attend. Lael rose and stalked from the small office. Webb followed at a more respectful pace. They drew suspicious glares as they strode through the lobby of the Vancouver's local Terran Marshal office. Any luck? Asked Al. The human had been waiting from the outside of the somber grey office. Webb didn't blame him for not going inside. The Marshal headquarters always left the Necro feeling uneasy. No, spat Lael. Your goddamn secret police still don't trust us. I wonder why, said Al. You always speak so highly of them. Have you at least kept comments like that off the net? Of course, said Lael. And me and Webb both have expressed exactly zero public interest in politics. I've read enough of your political thinkers to recognize the totalitarian regime that I see one. Again, with that kind of talk, do you remember that the chairman doesn't have any legislative power beyond a veto, right? He can't really rule anything. Al grimaced as he gestured towards the grey office tower. You always pick the best places for the discussions, too. Lael tapped the bulge on the wool jacket. Nobody's listening. The chairman controls the marshals who spend most of their time chasing down rogue Terrans. Webb decided to break in before the two of them started yelling. "Any reason you tracked us down here, Al?" asked the Nycra. "I hadn't expected to see you before tonight." "You'll still see me then. My lobster tails are going to blow whatever dish you hacked together out of the water." Webb twitched his ears in amusement. "We'll see. I've gotten a lot better since that first incident." "That's a pretty low bar to clear, but no. I do have a reason for meeting you here today. My CO wanted me to inform you that you've got a visitor coming this afternoon." "A visitor?" "Some old war buddy that the Light Colonel served as a back during the Unification War. He's fleet." "Fleet?" Webb couldn't keep the surprise from his voice. "I thought Marsh Int had us all well and truly claimed. Nobody else had dared to come close." "This isn't an official visit. That's why I came in person." CO didn't want a paper trail. Al glanced at his wristwatch. "I've got a dash. Good luck with your meeting." As the two Nycra didn't say a word to each other until they'd arrived back at the cozy apartment. The visitor was already waiting for them outside their door. Though Webb had a hard time telling a human's age, their prolonged treatment seemed to freeze them and all in their prime. He got the sense that this human was old. The man's precisely cut hair was almost completely grey, and lines creased his hard face. "Webb and Lael, I presume?" Webb nodded. Lael, for once, held her tongue. Her ears were cocked thoughtfully to the side. "I'm Chief Warrant Officer Calloway, Fleet Marines, although this is strictly a personal visit. May I come inside?" "Of course," said Webb. He palmed open the door and stepped into the apartment with a wince. The place was a mess. Their exercise alcove had been swirled out into the main living space, and Lael's electronics workshop had claimed a good deal of the available counter space. Webb had fought hard to keep her kitchen nook free of chaos, but that was only one small island of cleanliness in the apartment. The two Nycra were still adjusting to the newfound freedom. Calloway walked past Webb and settled himself onto the couch. Something in the man's walk gave Webb pause. The elite Nycra cadres, blood calls, had walked something like that. Only they played it up, turned it into a swagger, while Calloway seemed to be trying to hide it. "I'm here to extend to both of you an invitation to my ranch on Mars." "We can't go," said Lael. "We're not Terran citizens. Nobody's willing to risk angering the marshals by sponsoring us for travel. That's all. Consider yourself sponsored. I can have the forms filled out within the day." "Why are you so keen to get us onto your ranch of yours?" asked Webb. "You're drawing a lot of attention to yourself for a tourist trip. Certain members of a newly formed 3rd Special Operations Regiment happen to be vacationing there now. Well, we can't extend you an offer to join the unit just yet. We're confident that we won't have long to wait." "We won't be getting citizenship anytime soon," said Webb. "The office of the chairman—" "Even the chairman doesn't have the guts to veto an open referendum," said Calloway. "Haven't you noticed? We humans like fighting spirit, and we'll always root for the underdogs. You guys are both." The human grinned. "You'll be a Marine in blues before the end of the month." End of chapter. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.